Canada is a sovereign country according to official documents. Canada has a parliament, a prime minister, and a fully functioning government. But the one issue which is not being factored in is that Canada is ruled by the monarchy and is forced to be a perpetual slave to them for eternity. Happy birthday, Canada. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we are going to have our focus on Canada. Let's begin with this article here. We have the 150th anniversary of Canada. It's going on now, today, as of this recording. It is Canada Day, so we should be celebrating. But exactly what are we celebrating? Now, one of the points that I've always talked about is that the Queen is claimed to be the Queen of Canada. That is sort of the official notion. And I'll get into the breakdown of that in a moment, but that's where we have a little bit of an issue because it's considered that the Queen is ceremonial and the monarchy is not necessarily ruling over the country, but it is in fact just there as a figurehead and this and that. So let's get into Canada first. What's going on in Canada right now at this time? Well, the economy isn't doing that well. Although the dollar, the Canadian dollar, has come up a little bit in the recent past, we have seen one of definite economic stagnation. And one of the most important things is oil. Oil prices have been rather stagnant for quite some time at this time. And it remains to be seen where the price will head in the near future, simply because there is no real change. The inventories don't seem to change, and the whole economic outlook for the globe tends to be rather dismal. So what we see here is that with a reduced price compared to what it was before of oil, Canada will suffer as a result. And there are other commodities, of course, which are affected here. But if Canada isn't exporting commodities, they're not going to bring in the revenue, and that's ultimately going to hurt the economy. We also have the issue of housing prices. Housing prices have come up considerably in cities like Vancouver, Toronto, even Montreal and others, where you can see the fact that the average individual cannot purchase a home, or they are taking on a maximum amount of debt. And this debt is financed over a long period of time. However, it is financed at a very low interest rate. If those interest rates change, if they go up even a fair amount, we are going to have mass foreclosures, mass bankruptcies for a lot of people in Canada, and it's really not taken, seriously. Walk around the city of Toronto and downtown, and you will see this on every street corner. Every single street corner is riddled with homeless people. Poverty is accelerating to a great degree, and it's happening at the same time where you have certain individuals who are making more money than ever. So the middle class is essentially evaporating. You're having very rich people and you have very poor people. A lot of people that may seem to have wealth have really been financing that. So they're driving their luxury vehicles and they're living in these very expensive homes, but ultimately they have a lot of debt on their backs. But the point I'm trying to make here is that poverty has accelerated to a great degree, and it is very apparent. Just walk on the streets of Toronto and you will see this for yourself. That's my experience anyway. Let's take a look at how Canada is set up. At the very top, you have the Queen. The Queen is ruling over Canada. That's the way it is. How does it work though? Well, we have a Governor General, and that person is basically located in Canada, and they are in a way the representative of the Queen. They do the Queen's duties, let's call it, and the Prime Minister is really a subject. It's really not ruling the nation because you have this monarchy that's there in place. So the Queen gives the orders to the Governor General gives the orders to the Prime Minister, and then it flows downward from there. And you can see all the different branches of government and everything else that's below. And where do you and I come in? Well, we are right down here at the bottom, in no man's land. So by the time all of the wealth and all of the prosperity come about, and the inflation and all of the laws and everything else, and by the time it gets down here, it's nothing but a trickle. There's nothing left, because all of that wealth gets siphoned away through all of this big government structure. And that's what we face. This is a fact. It's not just Canada. I'm only pointing this out because it's Canada Day today. It's really what we are supposed to be celebrating. But what we can celebrate today is a new paradigm, and one that does away with this big government structure. What exactly does the Queen or does the monarchy do? Well, they speak in front of large audiences, and they wave, and they wear expensive gold-plated accessories. And when you think about it, they have no economic value to the country, yet they siphon off a lot of the wealth. I'll get into that more in a moment. Here's the Queen. When I look at somebody, I want to look in their eyes. I want to tell who this person is. And the eyes, often said to be the window into the soul. Look at those eyes. Do you think she has your best interest in mind? Well, I'll leave that up to you. I'm not suggesting anything. And then Prince Philip. No, this has not been edited. That's really what he looks like. And I ask you the same question. Look in the eyes. Prince Charles. I have a stake in Transylvania's future. That's right. He has said this, to be a descendant of the notorious Romanian lord Vlad the Impaler. If you don't know who that is, that's Dracula. That's the real life Dracula. And he's saying, yes, I am a descendant of this individual. And that's okay. And, it's just a fact. And he owns homes there, I believe. And he has a lot of stake in Transylvania's future. I definitely agree with that. That's for sure. And they're requesting, I should say, that Prince Charles become the Prince of Transylvania. Obviously, if he's the heir to the throne, then it's a good thing. This is real. This is a fact. And it's unbelievable. It doesn't get really mainstream media attention, but what else good information does these days? And this is the people that run our nation in Canada. These are the people that run your nation if you're under the rule of the monarchy. This, however, is the future. This is a picture from the G20 in Toronto a few years ago. I was present during this time. The police presence was the most I've ever seen by far. Every street corner had police on it. People were being interrogated. There was a cage set up around Union Station. Union Station being where all traffic flows through. It's the biggest bottleneck on the earth as far as I'm concerned. And yet there's a big cage around, there's a big police presence, slowed down the economy, essentially, in this area locally. And then ultimately, the brutalization of citizens was taking place. Literally trampled over on horses. And if I'm not mistaken, this was the moment after they sang the O Canada, pledging their allegiance to Canada, and in effect, to the Queen. That's what you do. and then they trampled and stomped on your brains. And that's what this is. So I request that individuals just consider that we don't need big government, whether it's a queen, whether it's a president, doesn't matter. We don't need big government. What we need is prosperity. We need a prosperous nation. Whatever that takes to get a prosperous nation, that's the direction we should move. Adding new levels of government doesn't do that. And this is a direct result of anybody who is willing to go against the grain. So my idea is to absolutely reduce the level of taxation that we have, eliminate as much of the government as possible, and ultimately bring prosperity to individuals. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. And last but not least, if you found this video informative, I know you will find my books, The Money GPS, and my new release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. The first book is about the 4 asset classes and how to profit from them. The new book takes on some new methods here where I call the Money GPS strategy, and that is how to reduce your monthly expenses and becoming self-sufficient, all along that line there. So if you're interested in that, Amazon has a feature where you can look inside the books. So the links are in the description. And if you want the audiobook version, definitely go to themoneygps.com. That's all for today. Take care and happy Canada Day.